Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us today because we are unpacking a truly fascinating piece of source material. It starts with a core premise that honestly feels incredibly relevant right now. Every action has a reaction. But the real mystery we're exploring today is whether that reaction becomes something good or something evil. Does it lead us toward progress, or does it literally drag us into destruction? The source argues that sometimes they might even be the exact same thing: destruction for the sake of creation. So today, we're going to look closely, step by step, at the modern battle for your mind. Okay, let's dive right into this step-by-step roadmap. First up, the battle for the mind. Second, India's historical resilience. Third, the modern smartphone battlefield. Fourth, the trap of tribalism. And finally, step-by-step liberation. Starting with Section 1, the battle for the mind and the evolution of warfare. To deconstruct this systematically, we first have to look at how the actual methods of conflict have fundamentally shifted. Throughout history, we typically think of wars being fought with, physical weapons, swords, bullets, missiles on a traditional battlefield. But the source makes a really compelling argument here. The most dangerous battle has actually always been the battle for the human mind. Just notice the modern arsenal. We're talking propaganda, manipulation, and the power to shape public opinion. The text notes that today's greatest demons aren't monsters with horns. No, sometimes they wear expensive suits, smile into cameras, trend on social media, and call themselves influencers, experts, or leaders. And that brings us to the ultimate goal of these modern leaders. Their greatest weapon isn't physical violence, it's your attention. In this modern battlefield, capturing and holding your focus is the entire objective. Because if they have your attention, well, they can shape your reality.
Which brings us to Section 2. India's historical resilience, focusing on the act of standing back up.
If we trace this chronologically, we can see a clear picture of survival. The source uses India as a prime case study of enduring both physical and psychological warfare piece by piece. Look at Phase 1. For centuries, India faced relentless invasions, exploitation, and repeated attempts to weaken its civilization. Moving to Phase 2, kingdoms fell, libraries were burned to the ground, and immense knowledge was stolen, hidden, or just forgotten entirely. Yet, in the present era, Phase 3, the civilization maintained its spiritual and scientific resilience. The knowledge itself was targeted, but the culture kept standing back up. The source really drills down into why this happened, noting that these invading forces weren't just fighting armies. They feared what the civilization fundamentally represented: its deep philosophy, its scientific heritage, and its spiritual traditions. It was this specific foundation that gave them the ability to stand back up after every single fall. It's just a powerful historical example of the mind outlasting the sword. And that historical context leads us perfectly into Section 3, the modern smartphone battlefield, which is the new war zone. Today, the borders of warfare have completely moved. The war doesn't begin at a geographic border anymore. It begins directly in our pockets, right inside a smartphone. The source specifically points out that this new front is heavily targeting Generation Z, constantly bombarding them right where they spend most of their time. And what exactly does this pocket battlefield look like? Well, it's an exhausting, non-stop barrage, endless streams of outrage, manufactured trends, weaponized hashtags, viral opinions telling you exactly who to hate and what to fear. Just reading through that list builds a sense of tension, doesn't it? Every single second, young people are facing this noise, which is totally designed to trigger an instant reaction before they even have a moment to process what they're looking at. Now, what's really interesting here is the counterattack to this barrage. The antidote is shockingly simple: thinking. While so many people react instantly to the noise on their phones, very few actually stop to question it. The text argues that questioning is inherently dangerous to manipulation. Thinking is literally the ultimate enemy of propaganda. Pausing to actually evaluate an instant reaction is the biggest threat to the people trying to harvest your attention. Which leads us directly to Section 4, the trap of tribalism, and the behavioral loop it creates. The source takes a very objective look at political loyalty here. It reminds us of a simple truth: governments change, and political parties rise and fall. Those who cheer for one side today might find themselves entirely ignored tomorrow. A new government owes absolutely nothing to the crowds that defended the old one. Ultimately, the author argues, politicians protect power, meaning citizens have to figure out how to protect themselves. Let's systematically break down this behavioral trap step by step to see who actually benefits. On one side, we have the puppets, Everyday people spending their time and energy fighting strangers online, throwing around childish labels, and losing their own personal skill and discipline to endless arguments. On the other side, the puppet masters collect the reward. Money changes hands, power changes hands. The puppets remain exactly where they started, trapped in a loop. So the crucial point the text is making is that engaging in this tribal warfare comes at a massive personal cost. When we surrender to the loop, knowledge is completely replaced by noise. Real, hard-earned skill is replaced by empty slogans. Discipline is just traded away for endless, meaningless arguments on the internet.
Which brings us to our final section, step-by-step liberation, and how to reclaim your mind.
The text makes it incredibly clear that history is never kind to those who surrender their minds. If you proudly wear the colors of a political camp, whether that's left or right, and mock anyone who disagrees with you, you are caught in the trap. Whether your crowd laughs at another or they laugh right back at you, both sides are trapped if they stop thinking for themselves. The real victory always belongs to the one pulling the strings. So how do you actually break free from those strings? The source outlines a strict, step-by-step method of self-preservation. Step 1. Refuse to stop learning. Step 2. Refuse to stop questioning. Step 3. Refuse to stop growing. This is the only battle that truly belongs to you, the battle to improve yourself.
Because the reality is, worldly power is in a constant state of flux. Today belongs to someone else. Tomorrow is going to belong to someone else entirely. Everything changes. No government, no online influencer, and absolutely no political ideology can save you from your own personal decline if you give up your intellectual independence.
Which leaves us with this chilling final thought from the text. Everything changes except one truth. If you do not change yourself, who will stop your destruction? And that, the author concludes, is the final reaction. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.